What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Goji Person 54. I have some unfortunate news and some good news. So, obviously, the main thing is where have I been? As you can see, my most recent video, it was about 6 months ago. So, I can explain that. I can't really explain that. It's nothing bad. It's just I was unfortunately burdened with the fact that my computer broke. Um, as you can see, I'm back on my computer. I didn't give any heads up or communication, and that is on my that is my fault. I will take responsibility for that. I should have been more open, communicated with you. Plus, on top of school and everything, I'm getting close to being a senior. Let's go. However, I did want to talk about a few things because obviously there is some Godzilla stuff going down, and I feel like I have the need to talk about it. So, let's get one thing out of the way. Godzilla Minus One is getting its official direct theatrical sequel from director Takashi Yamazaki. That is a mouthful of a sentence, I am aware. I really don't know what this could be about. It could be about perhaps I know it's director Takashi Yamazaki has said that he wants to consistently keep the tone of the first movie intact with the sequel, and he has shown direct once for other characters. I am aware. I'm sorry I didn't get to this sooner. I'm probably a little late behind schedule for this, but I really only care for the Japanese releases of Godzilla films just because Godzilla Minus One, to me, if I had to pick between that or the whole MonsterVerse, I would pick Minus One. Again, now, that's not to say that I don't care for the MonsterVerse. It will hold a dear place in my heart, just because Kong 2017 and Godzilla 2014 were the things that obviously introduced me to Godzilla as a franchise in general. However, let's dive into this. So, first of all, let us go to -0, the tab. All right. As you can see here, we have the, I guess you could say, teaser image of it. It obviously looks different from the -1 image or logo, I guess what you would say. Personally, I have my own theories regarding this. I honestly wholeheartedly believe I know who could be the opposing enemy monster, as we know that Takashi Yamazaki has expressed want for a enemy monster for Godzilla to fight. Personally, the first logo obviously was just the Godzilla being shaped as the G, right? With this, I see a woman's hair flying, her mutating, and she's praying to someone. Now, I have thought for hard and long about who she could be praying to, and I have about 3 options. And no, they're not the enemy monsters that you see here in the tab. I personally think that she's praying to Mothra, because if we look here reasonably, right? If you see, as you can see right here, she is praying towards what looks like the 0.0. Personally, I think they're trying to resemble Mothra's face. I think she's praying to Mothra, and her hair is flowing. She's obviously mutating. And we know that Godzilla minus zero is going to be um, a adventure sci-fi film instead of an action sci-fi film like the first one. So I think that a big part of the adventure is going to be going maybe somewhere else to find a cure for Noriko, and them going to I can't remember exactly what Mothra's Island was called. I think it was Easter Island or something like that. No, 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 no. I'm thinking of something else. However, I could be right. I could be wrong. Correct me in the comments, if you could, please. Um, However, I do think that she is the most likely because at the end of the day, fellas, I hate to say this, but Toho isn't Hollywood. They don't have money to be slugging around like that. So I pretty much think that they're going to go the safe route. It also doesn't add up that Mothra is like being celebrated incredibly this year, as this is, I believe, her 60. No, no, I think it is her 65th birthday. Correct me if I'm wrong. I don't know her birthday. I know she's in her 60s. um, Obviously, the most likely I think is Mothra. It makes the most sense to me. Her face, the dot, the two eyes. Um, Obviously, that's just my personal opinion. Let me know what now. If I could choose who I wanted, I would want Anguirus. I would love him back. I feel like Anguirus just would fit the same type of role as um, Godzilla. They're both grounded monsters, dinosaur esque like, and you could believe that before they were mutated, they were real creatures. But another big part that supports my whole someone's praying to Mothra is it's literally said right over here that in her deity, that in her species, she is a deity, not the typical kaiju monster like Godzilla would be labeled as. Um, However, I'm not going to be biased here because I don't know for sure yet. So let's talk about the most likely after Mothra for me. Um, I definitely think Hedorah is the most likely after Mothra. Um, Hedorah just has the similar vibe that you could do for this universe. Takashi Yamazaki himself has stated that he wouldn't mind um, reimagining or redoing the movie. However, I do think that Toho might have had him say that just to kind of throw people off. Because at first value, if he never said that, I don't know if Hedorah would be in the runner up for something like this world. Because Hedorah definitely seems like they would fit the Shin Godzilla universe a little bit better, but personal preference. I could understand and see if this was Hedorah. Now, however, there's a few things that lead me to believe that it's not. People say that the two zeros in the logo look like Hedorah's eyes. I don't see that. It really just kind of looks like one big eye, not Hedorah's eyelid, then the eye in the middle. If they did that, then I personally think they would have put two dots in the middle of the zeros instead of the 0.0. Now, if that was the case, then I would believe it was Hedorah. Um, Another thing that people are saying is Ghidorah, obviously. Personally, I see it, and let me explain. I think Ghidorah is probably way more plausible than uh, Hedorah or Hedorah. Just because Ghidorah as a character alone, Takashi Yamazaki has worked with him before, so he already has a good base design and like what he would want to do. However, another big part that leads me to believe this is Ghidorah is also fairly grounded into the same sense that Anguirus would be, but you would have to change the alien backstory up. Same thing with Hedorah. Like Mothra and Godzilla are both Earth-made monsters, and I don't see them bringing the alien subplot in. If they did that, if they did Ghidorah or Hedorah, they would have to do something like the Dorats from the Heisei series. I just personally don't see them doing this. Um, but again, a big part of why everybody might think that Ghidorah is the main monster is Godzilla minus zero, with Ghidorah being monster zero. And I know I've heard a lot of backlash from that, because obviously Ghidorah Monster Zero is mostly known from King of the Monsters from 2019 in the MonsterVerse. However, that was not the first time he was called Monster Zero, I guess. He was also referred to as Monster Zero in, it was either Ghidorah the Three-Headed Dragon or Invasion of Astro Monster. So I don't see it being him. Um, I will say a few noticeable ones that I've seen are obviously like Anguirus, like, oh, if minus one was a soft reboot, then obviously the second one, minus zero, would have to be a soft reboot of Raids Again. And I would love that. I personally would. Because I feel like Anguirus and Mothra, you could really fall with it into the same category with like, I feel like Anguirus has been in need of a big reboot, because his backstory, we don't know too much about it. He's just the big spiky turtle guy that Godzilla fought first, which kind of makes me sad, because, I mean, Anguirus was the first kaiju that started to fight Godzilla. That without without Anguirus, I don't know if Godzilla would have flew as far as he did. Um, However, I will say this: I think a big reason why I personally think it's Mothra, just to play it safe, just to, you know, go with the flow. She's easy to work with. You could make a story that's serious with her and Godzilla, because, well, Godzilla versus Mothra 1964 might be goofy. At the end of the day, it still had a really big um, impact, because the message behind that movie, to me at least, was the consequences of humanity's corporate greed. And I feel like you could work with that. I feel like you could work with it, right? It is a real big shame that we don't got anything yet for this, and I was trying to hold off for a little bit, but I feel like I have waited enough. I mean, it's almost been half a year since I've given you any new content. So outside of that, let me talk about one more thing. Um, Here is another YouTuber by the man of D-Man1954. Um, I would like to have you know that he is one of the best Godzilla reviewers on this platform. He does a lot more reviews. He balances the minus one stuff, the Monsterverse, and a bunch of different others, that from Jurassic Park to The Walking Dead and more. And I feel like you should check him out, because D-Man is one of the biggest inspirations for why I decided to change the channel to more Godzilla based content, because Godzilla is my favorite fictional thing of all time. So I feel like you should check him out, just because, I mean, he's already debunked a few things. He's talked about like the new Godzilla anime that I will not be getting to. I'm not going to talk about that till I know more about it, because as of right now, it just seems like a My Hero Academia ripoff for the most part. Um, However, his channel is in a bit of a pickle right now due to copyright strikes, as you know. So I would like to ask you, if you could, please go subscribe to D-Man 1984. That would help him out a lot, just because that's his backup channel. And if you want more Godzilla news and updates from me and him, it would really help you all out a lot. Please and thank you. Um, However, most of what I've said has been basically just been from him. For the most part, he does double check his sources. He's just a really good reviewer as is. Um, and like, I mean, at least more so than others, they will be left unnamed just because they have they're very big Godzilla YouTube channels, and I don't want to start any beef with that. And anyway, he has brought up um, a few other ideas, like Mothra, Ghidorah, and Hedorah have been the most that we both have talked about now, as an enemy opposing kaiju. Um, I got a few other ideas that are more personal tastes, because like, let me give a shout out to my friend Brody. Um, he he gave me the idea of, if the logo looks like someone's praying, then perhaps it might be King Caesar. Um, I would like to imagine that. I would like to hope for that. Um, it's a good idea, but I don't know how they'd handle that, considering King Caesar has not really been used that much. And overall, he has a goofy design, and unless you made him more Pacific Rim looking, I don't see him fitting the tone for this world. Um, Another kaiju that has been brought up by D-Man and myself was Biollante. Personally, I would love that, but I do think they're saving that more so for the MonsterVerse, just because, I mean, they're gonna try and milk that franchise for all it's worth. Um, I don't have much to say about GXK Supernova. I'm gonna watch it. I'm gonna compare it to Minus Zero. And when Godzilla Minus Zero day it comes out, I might give a spoiler-free review, just like saying my thoughts on it, saying how good it was, and basically glazing the movie. All right. Um, However, yeah, if y'all could subscribe to D-Man's second channel, um, D-Man 1984, that would be very lovely. Um, because D-Man 1954 is going through some trouble. Um, but please let me know what monster you'd like to see, because my the ones that I think that are most likely are the top three up there: Mothra, Hedorah, and Ghidorah. And the ones that I want the most are Biollante, Anguirus, and maybe Orga from Godzilla 1999. Because I feel like Orga could fit this universe if you somehow changed their backstory. Again, the alien subplot for like most of the Godzilla movies is not going to work. However, right now, I personally think it's either going to be Anguirus for personal taste or Mothra for corporate reasons. Um, Please let me know down in the comments. Go give D-Man support, and know down in the comments that what kaiju you'd like to see, because I would very much like to see any of the ones that I've mentioned or listed. Um, and give me a reason why. I would love to know your reasons why. I don't get a lot of comments on my videos in general, so I would very much just appreciate if y'all gave me a reason to reply to you back. All right, and I'll even give you a shout out if you leave a comment. All right. Um, I personally hope you all had a good day. Um, Goji person out.